Hey guys, Keith Eggo, back again. This time with my Major League Baseball update. Fridays are busy, man. Work and a bunch of shows. Still looking for a home for the Major League Baseball update. I haven't come up with the time to do it. I want to do it live, and by the time this show comes on, or it's always kind of hit and miss. And I've already done the Let's Talk New York Sports, and I've already done Are You Serious? And we'll find a time to do this show when everybody can do it. So I want to welcome everybody here on the Let's Talk Sports Network and TGI Sports Talk. And on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, we're going to talk Major League Baseball. It got a few things to talk about. We probably won't take, I don't think we'll do a full show today. We might. We'll see how long it goes. We'll see how many comments we might get from you guys. I want to jump into the Hall of Fame debate, which I've done a vlog on. You'll see at 5 o'clock today. So if you guys haven't seen enough of my face today, you'll probably be tired of it by then. We'll talk about Scott Rowland's Hall of Fame induction. We'll talk about the balloting in general. We'll talk about some of the gripes I have. I certainly want to talk about, I want to talk a little about the WBC as well, in some of the news coming out of there as far as players playing for different countries, whether it be the U.S. or whether it being Cuba's had some news, and I think some of the others. There we go. The Astros win again. Did they cheat this time or not, CA? What a bunch of nonsense. Cheating. God, I mean, like, they're the only ones that ever tried to win a freaking baseball game by stealing signs. Anyway, let me get to my news. Let me get to my MLB news page. Scott Rowland, as we said, elected to the Hall of Fame. I guess we'll start there. It's the lead story. How can I not start there, right? Scott Rowland. Oh, geez, see, I was looking for that before. Damn it. I found what I was looking for earlier. There's the Hall of Fame votes. I want to get to the voting. Here we go. Scott Rowland, only player elected other than Fred McGriff, will go in from the Veterans Committee. Bingo, right? Stop complaining about the freaking stealing signs. Scott Rowland gets 76.3% of the vote, needs 75% of the vote to get in. Todd Helton will likely get in next year because he's at 72 and no players ever reached 70%. I don't think any players ever reached like 68% where Billy Wagner is and not got in. Andrew Jones, 58%. Gary Sheffield probably in trouble at 55. I think he's got one more year on the ballot. Carlos Beltran, 46. Might improve as we go forward. Gets a little further away from the aforementioned sign stealing scandal. Jeff Kent, 46%. This was his final year on the ballot. If I had to vote for one guy on this ballot, outside of some of the guys I'll talk about in a second, the steroids and whatnot, I'd have voted for Jeff Kent. Jeff Kent was a dominant player in his position for a decade. That's the correct criteria. There you go. I agree 100%. And I think probably partly his surly attitude, has probably hurt him. So anyway, Jeff Kent's the one guy in this ballot I would have voted for. I would have made A-Rod wait. Manny's got a couple years left. Let me talk to you a little bit about the steroid guys. The steroid guys, you'll hear it a little bit in my vlog that'll air at 5 o'clock. It's recorded, CA, so when you start commenting, know why I don't respond. I've done vlogs on this before. I've commented on this 100 times. And I include Pete Rose with the steroid guys, Shoeless Joe Jackson with steroid guys. You can't have a Hall of Fame without Pete Rose, without Barry Bonds, without Roger Clemens. When it comes to the steroid guys, I don't know who did it, and I don't know who didn't do it. Both of them are Hall of Famers without steroids. Certainly Barry Bonds is. You've already put Big Papi in, so how can you not put these two guys in? And put on their plaque what they did. Put on Pete Rose's plaque. Banned from baseball for betting on games. Also, the all-time hit leader, who needs to be in the Hall of Fame. Same thing with Bonds. Same thing with Clemens. Put on their plaque. The reason Barry Bonds' head is so big on this plaque is he did steroids so he could hit 73 home runs instead of 50. Same with Roger Clemens, right? Roger Clemens threw a bat at Mike Piazza because he had roid rage. Whatever. Put the whole story, warts and all, on their plaque and put him in the Hall of Fame. Or don't have a Hall of Fame. Because now we're leaving these guys out and we're voting in Scott Rowland. We're voting in Fred McGriff. We're voting in Harold Baines. Who are these other guys I was talking about earlier? And you'll hear it on my vlog. Maybe I shouldn't just repeat it. I don't know. Tony Oliva, nice player. Tony Oliva's in and Don Mattingly's not. Jim Cott's in. I looked at Roland. Roland's a nice player. Don't get me wrong, a very, very good player. But is this the Hall of Fame or the Hall of Very, Very Good? If you're watching this now, you don't need to watch my vlog later. I'll get past this, I promise. Scott Rowland's a very, very good player. But if Scott Rowland's in, and forget about it, we can't let the steroid guys in. We can't let P. Rose in. We can't let Shoeless Joe Jackson in. Who only hit 417 when he threw the series. He didn't even know he's throwing the series. Just forget about all that. And just take Scott Rowland on his merits. If Scott Rowland's in, Donnie Baseball's got to be in. Got to be in. Two different positions. Okay. Scott Rowland had 1,000 more at bats. Donnie had less home runs. Almost as many RBIs. He had more Gold Gloves. He had just as many All-Star appearances. He won an MVP. Scott Rowland didn't. He was in the top 5, top 6, 3 years in a row. And if you want to compare somebody from the same era, and yes, I'll talk about Yankees because I'm going to. Greg Nettles. Compare Greg Nettles' numbers with Scott Rowland's. More home runs. Just short of 400. Only 2 Gold Gloves, but he was going up against Brooks Robinson, Buddy Bell. I'm trying to think of some of the other great American League third basemen of that era. I mean, the first 10 years of his career, he couldn't win because of, or not 10 years, but 7 years of his career, he couldn't win because first he was in the outfield. And secondly, he was going against Brooks Robinson. He's got 4 All-Star appearances. He's got finishes in the MVP just as high as Scott Rowland. I would say he's a very comparable player to Scott Rowland, but he's never got a sniff of the Hall of Fame. Plus, he played on 2 World Series champions. So again, should he be in? He's a nice player. He's a really nice player. But there's other guys that'll be in if he's in. Just saying. Where's these other things I was looking for before? Now they're gone again. Oh, well, doesn't matter. I was going to look at some of the ballots. I mean, the Baseball Hall of Fame doesn't seem to be able to put like zeros in. I don't know why. Let's talk about, what do you got here? Sorry. We already talked about Jeff Kent. Jeff Kent's off the ballot now. He's done, unless the Veterans Committee puts him in. I mean, who was a more dominant player at his position during his career? Jeff Kent or Scott Rowland? Maybe they're fairly comparable. How about Jeff Kent compared to some of the guys, Fred McGriff? Not the most dominant first baseman, even one season of his career. Most likely. Maybe one. Harold Baines? Please. Ted Simmons? All great players. Very good players, sorry. Ted Simmons was never the best player at his position. Ever. No, I'm not happy with Cooperstown. You figured that out, CA. Very good. Watch the vlog. I get even worse. And maybe look at it. If here's the thing, I have two problems. I obviously have a lot of problems outside of this broadcast. I've got the guys you're leaving out arbitrarily because you decided they cheated. I know. Look at baseball has banned Pete Rose. That doesn't mean the Hall of Fame has to. That's their choice. They're two separate entities. The same thing with the steroid guys. They decided to leave them on the ballot, but the writers exclude them. And you don't know who did it and who didn't. So again, put them in there. And then you've got the whole deal with the watered down results. And if you're changing the criteria to very good, then go back and let's look at Don Mattingly and Thurman Munson and Greg Nettles and Mel Stottlemyre and a gazillion frickin' other guys I can mention that aren't in the Hall of Fame. Kirby Puckett's in the Hall of Fame. Look at his stats compared to Don Mattingly. Oh, and again, it's not necessarily Cooperstown that I'm mad at now that I think about it, CA. It's the writers. It's Cooperstown and the writers. The Hall of Fame made a decision not to put Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson on any ballots, ever. Pete Rose has never been on a Hall of Fame ballot, never had one guy vote for or against him. Can't even come up to the Veterans Committee because of the Hall's decisions. Anyway, whatever. What else is going on in Major League Baseball? Whatever. Get Keith in full frickin' meltdown today. Who's playing on Team USA in the WBC, which is coming up in March, guys? I love this event. I wish the US would take it more seriously, and maybe they are. Mike Trout's on the team. Who else is on the team? I had some stuff here. Hold on. Somewhere I got, here we go. Here's the rosters so far. Here's the roster so far for the U.S. We'll see. Some of these guys will drop out. JT Realmuto. Will Smith are the catchers right now from the Dodgers. Pete Alonso. Paul Goldschmidt. God, is this accurate? Hold on a second. Yeah, these guys are. Yeah, these guys have committed. I'm a little surprised because looking at the names, some of these guys were not committed the last time I looked at this. Pete Alonso, Paul Goldschmidt, Trevor Story, if he's healthy, he's been hurt. Jeff McNeil, Nolan Ariendo, Bobby Witt Jr., Tim Anderson, Trey Turner, Mookie Betts, Bryce Harper, Cedric Mullen, Mike Trout, Kyle Tucker, Kyle Schwarber. The offense looks really good, huh? Pitching, we still need some help. David Bednar of the Pirates, Dylan Tate from the Orioles, Devin Williams from the Brewers, not a bad pitcher. Adam Ottavino from the Mets, not a huge fan. Clayton Kershaw, Adam Wainwright. So I've got a shot then, I guess, if Adam Wainwright's on there. Hey, Nasty Nestor from the Yankees, Nestor Cortez, Kyle Freeland, Brady Singer, Merrill Kelly, Logan Webb. Not quite the bang, the cha-ching that you get from the offense, right? The offense looks great. Where else? I had some other news. So some of the other let's see. I can tell you that the Cuban team has brought on Moncada, the third baseman from the White Sox. Center fielder Luis Roberts, Robert, also from the White Sox. Plus 3 of the AAA players, Andy Ibanez, plus 3 AAA players. I said Andy Ibanez from the Tigers organization, Miguel Romero from the A's organization, and Ronaldo Bolanos from the Royals organization. They've also added Orlando Cespedes, if you remember him with the Mets and with the A's and the Tigers. That'll be an interesting team. Who else do they have here? There's some Cubans that play in Japan that were picked. Urizabal Garcia and Ariel Martinez, who play in Japan, will also be picked. The Japanese, there's some news on the Japanese team as well. Yoshida, I know who is Masataka Yoshida and Lars Anutbar will be joining the 30-man roster for the Japanese team. They'll be one of the favorites, as they always are. The Caribbean teams are going to be very, very good as always. But I think the U.S. is looking to maybe that looks like the best offensive unit. Excuse me. The U.S. has put together in the history of this tournament. Now they really need to work on their pitching staff. I'm not sure that they can win with the pitchers we're talking about. Craig T. Nelson is going to manage JT or TJ. What's your name? CA. What are you smoking today? Who is managing this team? It's a good question. I do know. I'll give you the WBC managers. WBC managers. Mark DeRosa is managing the USA. I did know that. Let's see if I can find out who's managing any of these other teams. He was a member of the 2009 WBC team. Very good Major League Baseball player. But he'll be managing the USA team. I was looking to see the rest of the managers, and I can't quite seem to. Oh, interesting. Yadi Molina is going to be the manager for Puerto Rico in the World Baseball Classic. I think that's an interesting note right there. And they'll have a pretty good roster as well, as they always do. I know Baez is there, Edwin Diaz from the Mets. They'll have a very good representative roster. The Dominican, Puerto Rico, Japan, those should probably be the favorites in this. Uncle Hank, can I help you pick one basketball pick? Sure. Usually you come on my Wednesday show and ask me for that. We're on baseball right now, but I'll give you a pick. You like Oakland +9? Who are they playing? As we interrupt our regularly scheduled programming. They're playing tonight. Let me see who they're playing. I hope they're playing tonight. Let's see who they're playing there, Uncle Hank. Can't find them. They're playing Youngstown State. Give me Oakland. I'll give you Oakland. Is that +9? I'll take Oakland +9 all day long. Make the bet. Make the bet. There you go. All right. We're done there. The rest of the show is Major League Baseball. But you're welcome. I know you come out and asked me for picks before, and I think I've done pretty well by you, if I'm not wrong, both in basketball and football. Don't bet your life savings on it. That's all I can tell you, Hank. Be smart. What else we got in Major League Baseball? We had some news. We had a new general manager get named for the Astros. Speaking of the Astros, the CA did when we opened the show. Dana Brown has been named the general manager of the Astros after they let James Click go. He departed after winning the World Series in 2022. Brown has spent the last 4 seasons as the Braves vice president in charge of scouting. Before joining the Braves, he spent 9 seasons with the Blue Jays as a special assistant to the GM. So he's got lots and lots of experience as the Astros try to go back-to-back to really cap Dusty Baker's career. You're welcome, buddy. I've been on fire, he says. All right, cool. I should bet my own picks. I probably don't bet the same ones you asked me about. I should just bet the ones you asked me about. I'll keep you going as long as I can. What else we got here? What else we got for news in Major League Baseball today? We talked about Roland. Chip Carey. If you like announcer news, Chip Carey, after many years with the Braves, I want to say, geez, how long has he been with the Braves? Probably 20 years. Chip Carey's going to go to his dad's old team, one of his dad's old teams, the St. Louis Cardinals. If you remember his dad, Harry Carey, he's actually the grandson. My bad. His father was also a Braves broadcaster in his day. Trying to remember his father's name now, but he'll replace Dan McLaughlin, who was set to begin his 25th season with the Cardinals, but he was arrested on suspicion of driving while intoxicated, and he's been released of his duties as the play-by-play man. So Carey will be paired with Brad Johnson and Jim Edmonds, and he's a pretty good. Listen, I like Chip Carey. There's a lot of people who don't. I think he does some of the TBS playoff stuff. So I like Chip Carey, and I think it's a good addition. A long tradition of great broadcasters in St. Louis, with Harry Carey first before he became a cartoon character, Jack Buck, and after that, Joe Buck, before he went on to national prominence. Let's see. The Twins acquire Michael A. Taylor, Gold Glove winner, from the Royals. The Twins are doing a nice little remake of their roster. Something to keep an eye on here. They brought back Carlos Correa. If they can find a way to keep, and I've said this forever, Byron Buxton healthy. He's a great player. Just can't seem to stay healthy. Taylor's a really good guy. He won a Gold Glove in 2021, and not going to get into some of those defensive metrics that drive me nuts, but whatever. I mean, they traded Steven Cruz and Evan Sisk are going to the Royals. They're a couple of Twins prospects. So, and Taylor did play, as you might remember, with the Nationals from 2014 to 2020. With some success, really good defensive player, as I said, and the kind of guy who's a good bench player to have there as well. I don't know that I was able to mention on this show last week, but if I did, I apologize, but I'll say it again because I think I might have only brought it up on my Sunday Stream of Consciousness show. Sal Bando, former great player with the A's, 3 consecutive champion A's back in the 70s, passed away last week in a very sad time for them. So our condolences out to the Bando family, of course. What else we got here? Let's take a quick look through some other stuff. The Orioles, they pad their rotation a little bit. They acquire Cole Irvin in a trade from the Athletics. They're trading everybody, right? I mean, he's going to turn 29. He's thrown about 300, almost 400 innings, I think, for the A's with an over 4 ERA. So again, I think he's kind of a middling player, but he's the kind of pitcher that every roster probably needs. So we'll see whether that turns out to the Orioles. I'm not sure the Orioles can really maintain the momentum that they built last year during that season, but we'll see. It certainly merits watching. What else did I want to look at? I didn't want to get into that. We talked about the power rankings. I don't know. There's, just not as much in in Major League Baseball to chat about. Let me look at the Yankees and Mets stuff. I didn't get a chance to talk about that, and let's talk New York sports. So we'll dive into it. Any of you guys, if I fail to mention at the top of the hour or top of the show, if you've got some topics or comments, always feel free to bring them. You guys are my co-host on these shows, and I certainly want to do that. Heard tell of it, lots of baseball fans around St. Louis. CA is just on a comic roll today. Listen, St. Louis, well, I've already given away the answer. I bet you if I asked 100 people who frequent my shows or any of the shows here, what Major League franchises won the second most World Series, I bet you less than half of them would pick the right one, which is the St. Louis Cardinals. Very good. Very good. Major League franchise. The fans are great there. Great place to go watch a game. I've been to St. Louis. Great place to watch a game. Saw a Yankee Cardinal series there, and it was a lot of fun. And I hope to get to more Yankees road games. I've been to Chicago, been to Pittsburgh, been to Fenway, obviously, but this is certainly. I certainly want to get to more. Let's see. What do we got? Oh, God, the Yankees. Cashman has said, Brian Cashman now has said, because he's tried all winter to trade Aaron Hicks. He's tried all winter to trade Josh Donaldson. Can't do it. Now they're set to be the opening day left fielder and third baseman. DJ LeMahieu would likely be the second baseman, which leaves Gleyber Torres on the bench. I mean, how does Aaron Hicks ever rebound in New York? As the Yankees have done nothing but run him down, rightfully so. His defense was in the crapper last year. He not only can't hit, he's had like one good year his entire career. And I got to watch another season of this guy flailing around in left field. Misplaying balls, thrown to the wrong base, striking out, horrendous fundamentals. Throw them out here, Don. Give me the two teams that are playing each other, though, so we make this simple. X against Y, X against Y. It turned into a college basketball touting show. But we like to serve the public. So anyway, I just don't understand. I don't understand what the Yankees are doing. I don't understand how we think this team is going to be any better come playoff time, or maybe even any better in the regular season, when we still have, on a fairly regular basis, Hicks and Donaldson in the lineup. Don't tell me the pitching staff is that much better that I can overcome that. Two of the worst offensive players in baseball last year. Tell me how I overcome that. Davis in St. Louis under 146.5. That's a pretty good A10 game right there, huh? I'm going to say under. I'm going to say under Davis in St. Louis. Fort Wayne. Give me Cleveland State. I like Cleveland State against Fort Wayne in that. I know it's a revenge spot, but I like Cleveland State here. We're a Cleveland State show. I'm good at what I do. I don't know about that, but you're welcome to my picks whenever you want them. I give you the under 146.5, and I give you Cleveland State, I guess, -4 the way you wrote it there. So take it for what it's worth. Maybe I got to start a college touting show, right? Should I call you Don or Uncle Hank? I don't know what to call you, dude. I hate that. I said dude. Don't you hate that? The frick 63-year-old man says dude. I sat with one a couple of weeks ago. Ay. We talked about the Hall of Fame earlier too, and the next Mets coming up in the next couple elections. The Mets have a couple of guys in David Wright and Jose Reyes. These guys are not Hall of Fame players. Based on Scott Rowland's election, maybe David Wright is, but I do not think they're Hall of Famers. What else we got? Jesus. Mets owner Steve Cohen's hedge fund, 0.72, reaps a $2.4 billion windfall. Money goes on money, man. Money goes on money. Nice story this week in the Post about Eduardo Escobar and, breathing. He has new life now that they didn't sign Carlos Correa. And I still think the Mets are going to be better off with Escobar, who had a really good second half of the season. I think he's going to give the Mets a better glove at third base than Correa would. He had a very good second half with a bat after a bad start, and he is a consistent player. Does he have the talent Carlos Correa has? No, but his all-around game as a third baseman, I think will be fine, especially when you consider the cost involved for both of these guys. So I think that's probably going to be a good non-move now for the Mets, based on things that we've talked about here in the past. What else we got going on here we want to talk about? Anything else? What do you guys got? Throw something at me, CA. Throw something at me there, Don. Oh, you want basketball picks? Oh, I don't know. Jesus. Just so frustrating. Let me take a look, see if there's anything else in the free agent buzz I missed. We talked about, I don't have anything new here since the 20th. Great job. That's a great job, ESPN, of updating that freaking page. My God. That's awful. So frustrating. By the way, you need news? Go to The Athletic. Subscribe to The Athletic. You'll be very happy. Boy. What's the most impactful? Let's look at we'll look at this. This will be the remainder of our show here. We're going to look at 10 trades and look at the impact. These are going to be, these were ranked by Jim Bowden in The Athletic. We'll say if we agree or not. Number one, big trade. Braves, Brewers, A's, three-way blockbuster. The Braves get Sean Murphy, catcher from Oakland, who's very good offensively. The Brewers get William Contreras, who's a catcher / DH. He DH for the Atlanta mostly. Right-hand pitcher, Justin Yeager. Right-hand pitcher, Joel Payamps. The A's get, of course, a bunch of kids. Ruiz, Miller, Tarank, Salinas, Pena. Now, for the Braves, this is a great deal. They get Sean Murphy, one of the best catchers in baseball. Easy. For the Brewers, for what they give up, I'd give them an A. He only gives them a B. I give them an A. The Brewers need bats in a worse way. I picked that team to win the World Series last year based on their pitching staff and the fact that they would score enough runs to get that done. Contreras adds a big bat to that lineup that they need, whether it's at catcher or whether it's at DH or somewhere else. And the A's, I'm not giving the A's anything better than a D because they keep trading for kids that, it's a flip of a coin whether they're ever going to amount to anything. The Twins, who just last week traded batting champion Luis Arraez, I'll say that right, I think, for right-hand pitcher Pablo Lopez, one of the best young pitchers in baseball, and also infielder Jose Salas and Byron Churio. This is a great trade for the Twins. They get a frontline pitcher who can throw strikes, strike guys out, and has got control, and he's young, and he's under team control for a while. And they get him basically while he won a batting championship, Arraez is basically a slap hitter. He's got very little power. And I'm not sure that he's got a position with the Marlins. A+ for the Twins, B- for the Marlins. What do you rank it? A- and a B. Mariners trade right-hand pitcher Eric Swanson and left-hand pitcher Adam Macko to the Blue Jays for Teoscar Hernandez. This is a A+ for the Mariners. They get better and better. Hernandez hit 57 homers over the last 2 years, and he's young. He's a decent defensive player. He's won 2 Silver Slugger awards. He's another piece to that offensive puzzle that they've been building over here in Seattle for the last 3 years. This team might challenge the Astros next year. If I'm a Mariner fan, I got to like that. If I'm a Blue Jay fan, I'm like, what are we doing? I know Swanson was, one of the top prospects. For the Mariners pitching wise, and the Jays need pitching, but I don't know that he's ready. And you're trading a guy who's a everyday contributor for a question mark. Phillies trade Nick Maton, Matt Verling, Donnie Sands to the Tigers for Greg Soto and Cody Clemens. I can't get excited about this trade, but if he wants to rank it fourth, that's fine. I'll go with his scoring of B+ and a B for both teams. Can't get excited. Here's one I get excited about, and I would have been much more excited if the guy were going to the Yankees and the Blue Jays. Dalton Varsho, who will probably be the replacement for Hernandez, goes to the Blue Jays for Gabriel Moreno, catcher, and outfielder Lourdes Gurriel. I think he's got this A for the Diamondbacks, B for the Blue Jays. I'm putting this the other way around. Varsho is a good defensive outfielder with really good pop, and he does replace Hernandez pretty well. Now, they do get 2 really good players back. I think the Diamondbacks still building with young guys. And it's possible both of these guys, Gurriel will definitely be in the outfield for this team. And it's very possible that Molina or Moreno will be one of the catchers or be the catcher for the Diamondbacks this year as well. And Gurriel has hit 20+ homers a couple of times in the majors, and he brings pretty good. He's probably a little bit younger than Varsho, and I think he fits what the Diamondbacks are probably trying to do. But I think this is a great trade for the Blue Jays. 1, because they get a really good guy in Varsho, and 2, they keep him away from the Yankees who really wanted him. Mariners trade outfielder Jesse Winkler and infielder Abraham Torrell to the Brewers for Colton Wong and cash. This is a B and B. Colton Wong is not the player that he was. He never really performed for the Brewers that well. Winkler didn't do well in Seattle. He did have a couple of really good seasons in Cincinnati. Maybe getting to Milwaukee and a little change of scenery will bring him back, to the potential that he had when he was with the Reds. And again, the Brewers need bats. Caitlin Wong wasn't getting it done there. You might as well trade for an outfielder. You need some outfielders there, and maybe he supplies some pop along with Contreras that we talked about earlier. The Angels trade 3 pitchers to the Brewers for Hunter Renfroe. I just said that the Brewers need offense, and they trade one of their better potential offensive guys. Didn't have a good season last year, but he had some pretty good seasons with the Red Sox before this. This is a wash to me. I know they're 3 pretty good young pitchers, but the Brewers have a lot of pitchers. And they did trade some of them last year at the trade deadline. They traded a few in some other trades. So maybe they need to replenish that stock. But, look at this team can't have too many bats this year. And I think that hurts. I don't care about this trade at all. I don't care about this trade at all. Miguel Rojas, infielder Miguel Rojas to the Dodgers for shortstop Jacob Yamaha. Yo Ma. Anyway, I think the Marlins make out big here. It's a young shortstop. Maybe he'll move Chisholm off a shortstop and into the outfield. May play every day right away with the Marlins. In AAA last year, he had 4 triples, 17 homers, 71 RBIs between AA and AAA, I should say. He's 24 years old. The Dodgers get back, Rojas, who's I think 30-ish. He's basically going to be a utility guy who's been declining over the last couple of years with the Marlins, both on offense, and he's lost a step defensively by all accounts. So I'm not sure the Dodgers make out here. I think the Marlins do. The Marlins, who need all the help they can get, have made some trades for some young guys that will be helpful. So that's it for now, guys. That's, I don't have a lot else to cover. And I guess that's just going to cover what we got to cover in Major League Baseball today. We'd certainly want to. You watch my vlog, you'll hear much, much more about me venting about the Hall of Fame voting. If you're just into hearing Keith rant, that's probably what you want to do. Please catch us Sunday on the Stream of Consciousness show, where we'll be talking about the championship games coming up on Sunday, recapping last week's game, talking a lot of NFL, a lot of MLB. We'll have Jim Beringer on to give us an NHL update. CA, you want to be there for that? He'll be on probably about 9 a.m. We'll be starting at 8:30. And also a quick note, we are going to start doing some Major League Baseball interviews again, along with other sports, former sports stars. The way I started doing these podcasts, we talked about the Hall of Fame, and some of the guys I mentioned today are guys we'll be chasing down for interviews. I can't wait to get back into it with the help of Dan Harris from Talk Sports. Guys, Keith Engel with your Major League Baseball updates to TGI Sports Talk. You guys have a great, great weekend. We'll see you Sunday morning. Oh.